Yes, I'm wearing my Star Wars Celebration 2020 gear because that's when I was supposed to go and then COVID ended the world. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and thanks for checking it out if you're new. Yes, this video is very, very late. I already filmed this video once, but the audio was not up to quality like I wanted it, and so I went back and forth on whether to do it again, and I do still want to share my thoughts on Star Wars Celebration and the news that came out of it with you. Yes, we're about a week late, but oh well. So starting off with the movies, we got 3 new films announced. We have one coming from director James Mangold. You might recognize him from Logan. So James Mangold's film is set around the time of the dawn of the Force. This is when the Jedi are merging, they're learning to harness the Force and things like that. I think this one could be interesting. I'm curious how they'll do with it, because with it being about the first, group of Jedi, or the first Jedi in general, probably means no crazy, lightsaber fights or anything like that. Not that Star Wars needs lightsabers. Things like Andor have proven that. But out of the 3 movies announced, I think this is the one I'm not the least excited for, but we know the least about it, so I'm hesitant / we need to know more. The second film from Star Wars Celebration is one directed by Dave Filoni, making his jump to live-action feature film. His is going to be, what we know so far, it is the New Republic versus the Imperial Remnants, seeming to be kind of a climax / conclusion to the storylines building up in Ahsoka and the Mandalorian. We know from the Ahsoka trailer and everything we're getting Thrawn and the heir to the Empire, or at least some kind of adaptation of that storyline, so I'm curious to see what they do there. I'm curious if this will be where that storyline really peaks. Ahsoka might introduce Thrawn coming back, but then this is the big cinematic conclusion. Also, we know that back before Rangers of the New Republic kind of got scrapped, that Rangers, Ahsoka, and Mando were all 3 supposed to have a big climactic crossover, and I'm assuming this film is now going to become that crossover. I'm curious how they'll approach this, because there is the trickiness of alienating general audiences. Yes, nerds like me have all the books and the comics and all of that. There's more down here. But general audiences don't know all of these things. They haven't watched all 7 seasons of Clone Wars and 4 seasons of Rebels. So I'm curious how they're going to make this film more accessible and open to the general public for it to be successful, because let's be honest, Lucasfilm is out to make money. Aren't we all? The third film announced out of the weekend is one from director, I'm sorry if I say her name wrong, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. And so this film will follow the New Jedi Order. Yes, the New Jedi Order, set post Rise of Skywalker, 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker. And who is building that New Jedi Order but Daisy Ridley herself, returning as Rey Skywalker. Yes, Rey Skywalker. Be mad in the comments if you want. I'm excited for this. We're finally getting some content post the Rise of Skywalker. I feel like the critical reception of that film just sullied that part of the timeline for Lucasfilm, and they haven't touched it since. We were originally supposed to get some comics and some books, storylines set after the Rise of Skywalker. So yeah, I'm glad that we're finally getting some post the Rise of Skywalker content. I think this film at least needs to have Finn in it. I know both John Boyega and Oscar Isaac got screwed during the sequel trilogy, and I'm kind of sullied on Star Wars, but Rey's whole character arc is her found family and her friendship, so I think it'd be weird if they're not here. Plus, we had the hints at the end of, well, we didn't have the hints. We know Finn is Force sensitive, and so we've seen from things like the Lego Holiday Special of him training to be a Jedi, and so I really think we should continue. He should be a part of Rey's Jedi Academy in some form. There's also talk of Luke coming back for this, via Force Ghost, and give or take. You can bring back Luke if you want, but if not, I understand that it's time to move beyond the legacy characters. So yeah, I am excited for these. I think they could all be interesting storylines. My big hope and my big plea to Lucasfilm is please don't rush these. Kathleen Kennedy says that these movies are moving along nicely and smoothly, and please keep it that way. Right now, one of them, we don't know which one, has a release date of December 2025, but if need be, delay that. I think we would all rather have a good Star Wars movie rather than rush back to the theaters for another Rise of Skywalker. The sequel trilogy arguably fell apart because you rushed things. Kathleen Kennedy also touched on Taika Waititi's movie. She basically said it's still happening, but we don't really have much to share. Taika is currently writing it, and Kathleen claims that Lucasfilm has kind of taken a hands-off approach, which, good for them. I'm curious to see what Taika creates in the Star Wars universe. Rogue Squadron, the recently canceled movie from Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins, was touched on. Basically, Kathleen said that maybe that story will still happen somewhere, whether it be in a book or a TV show. But right now, the movie's not in active development. Sadly, we got the same news for Rian Johnson's trilogy. Toxic fans took this from us, as Kathleen said that Johnson's trilogy is not in active development, which makes sense because he's busy making Knives Out movies. Which, honestly, good on him, but I would love for him to somehow return to this project someday, because I do want to see him explore the galaxy far, far away outside of the Skywalker saga. Looking at TV shows, I did a reaction to the Ahsoka trailer. You can find that up there. And along with that trailer, we also got a release window of August 2023. Maybe a little later than I thought we'd get it, but cool. It'll be an end of summer event, and it'll take us, they've said it's 8 episodes, so depending on when it releases, take us into about October-ish. And I think this show's interesting. It seems to very much so be Rebels Season 5, which, like I said about the movie situation, I'm curious how that will either be open to or alienate general viewers who haven't seen Rebels. I'm also curious how much these characters, the Rebels characters that we've seen, are actually in the show. Are they just cameos, or do they have a big presence? Like, it seems like Sabine is going to be a big presence, because she is all over both the general public trailer that we saw and the trailer that was shown to attendees behind closed doors. We got a big win here with this one too, as Lars Mikkelsen is returning to portray Thrawn. Lars Mikkelsen, the brother of Mads Mikkelsen, voices Thrawn in Star Wars Rebels, and so I have been rallying, as many fans have been, for him to return as Thrawn in live action, and we got what we wanted. He's coming back. Attendees were shown exclusive footage of Thrawn, and I know there's that cam quality picture that I'm not going to put here because it's cam. You can't trust it. It might look sketchy or bad, but who knows till we see the actual show. And I'm curious in this show because with Thrawn's return, Rosario Dawson also made the note that Ahsoka is the only one who sees Thrawn as a threat in the show, so I'm curious to see if this show is more of an, like I said, an intro to him, and then Thrawn's the big bad of Filoni's movie. But who knows? Like I said, the show is currently 8 episodes long and is being billed as a miniseries. However, Rosario said that maybe we could do a season 2 if this is successful enough, which I can't see it not being successful. Though I don't think it'll get a season 2 if it's being billed as a miniseries, just because Disney Plus has kind of just been pumping and dumping these out and not continuing them. Speaking of season 2s, Andor got an August 2024 release window for attendees. It is currently filming, and so there wasn't really much news to share. They did show a bit of exclusive footage to attendees. If you haven't watched season 1 of Andor, honestly, that's probably, I don't know. Ooh. Mando is really good. Those first 2 seasons are really good. But Andor Season 1 is also really great. Give that a watch if you haven't already. We also got some news on The Acolyte that is releasing next year in 2024. Similar to Andor Season 2, currently filming, so not a ton to share or show. And so this show follows the emergence of the Sith during the High Republic, which, if you don't know, the High Republic is really the Jedi's time to shine, so the Sith are coming back for some payback, maybe. Speaking of the High Republic, with all of this news and all of these shows being all over the timeline, Lucasfilm did give us a general timeline image here. I think it's pretty straightforward, pretty clear. In The Acolyte, we'll also see characters from the books and comics appear in the show. They showed one character that I'm not familiar with. I have all these comics and books behind me, but actually, unfortunately, I haven't gotten into the High Republic yet. I do want to check it out, and the show might be the thing that makes me get into it. And the creators of this show described it as Frozen meets Kill Bill, which I know sounds ridiculous, but this show is essentially about two sisters, one Sith and one Jedi, and is heavily martial arts based. So it's a tale of two sisters who are kicking each other's ass. Hence the Frozen meets Kill Bill. I'm actually really excited for this one. They showed some footage behind closed doors that I totally didn't watch the cam of it. No, goodness, don't do that. But I think it looks cool. Skeleton Crew is another Star Wars show that's coming out this year. Again, the footage was shown behind closed doors to attendees. And this is the Jude Law, with all the little kids. It's being billed as Space Goonies. John Watts, the director of the 3 MCU Spider-Man movies, is behind this show, so take that as you will. And while they didn't show any footage or share any footage with us, the general public, we did get the directors revealed. So some notable ones we have here are John Watts, David Lowery, the Daniels, who directed the Best Picture winner last year, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Go watch that one if you haven't. Bryce Dallas Howard, who, give her the keys to the kingdom right there with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Every episode of The Mandalorian she's directed has been awesome and has been great. The one good Nepo baby. And Lee Isaac Chung, who I'm not familiar with. Moving into some animation, we got Tales of the Jedi Season 2. Yeah, we know nothing about this. Dave confirmed it during the Clone Wars anniversary panel, and he said it was fun, let's do it again. I'm really curious because I feel like this show could be the anthology series that Star Wars has been looking for, where they do just each season. Last season gave us backstories on Dooku and Ahsoka, and I feel like the show could go anywhere on this timeline they gave us. We could explore the High Republic and some of those Jedi that the general public might not be so familiar with. We could go forward and look at some of Rey's students. We could look at more prequel Jedi, or Jedi who survived Order 66. That was another thing that came out of this weekend. I get everybody's all, oh my god, why did so many Jedi survive? Listen, there were hundreds of thousands of Jedi active at the time of Order 66. Even if you wiped out like 99.9% of them, there'd still be like 100 or so, give or take, of these guys running around the galaxy. It's a very, very big place. One I'm kind of rooting for is Plo Koon. He's he's Dave Filoni's favorite Jedi. Not really featured in the movies. Got fleshed out a lot in Clone Wars. I'd like to see his upbringing and what shaped his approach, because he's got an interesting mindset. The Bad Batch was renewed for a 3rd and final season. Again, this trailer was shown behind closed doors. This one I'm curious about. I have not finished Season 2. I'm currently watching it right now. So yeah, we all knew the Bad Batch couldn't last forever, especially with the time period it's set in, so I'm curious how it will end. And it's always nice to see these shows get actual conclusions rather than cancellations. I know Dave has expressed that before, that he always has that fear ever since Clone Wars got canceled initially. We also got a trailer for Star Wars Visions Volume 2, which releases on May the 4th. This one is available to watch. This one looks really cool. If you don't know what Visions is, it's essentially Star Wars anthology where they're not canon or anything. They're just these storylines that are given to different animation studios that they make up whatever they want. It can be a cute little fun thing, kids in a band, or it can be this dramatic sibling rivalry. Another takeaway from Star Wars Visions is it's a great way to just show how cool Star Wars looks. There are so many different designs and crazy things that came out of that show that we haven't hit the limits of what Star Wars can do, as long as you're not afraid to try something different. We got an update about Lando, which was announced 2 years ago now? Fact check me if I'm wrong, Editor Connor. And basically that was another update from Kathleen, not during the panel, but in interviews, where she said, yes, the show is still happening. They're essentially trying to work out to get Donald Glover to return for the role, which, perfect. Please get him back. In all honesty, I would love to see Glover so much as Lando. There is all this talk of, in Dave Filoni's movie, they could bring back the deep-faked Han Solo, Lando, Leia, Luke. No. Recast these actors. You have Alden Ehrenreich and Donald Glover sitting right there who can already play Han and Lando. Yes, they don't look exactly like Harrison Ford and Billy D. Williams, but you know who they're supposed to be. And it would at least create some consistent continuity as you've seen them in Solo. Same thing with Luke and Leia. Unfortunately, it is time to recast. I know it's hard with the passing of Carrie Fisher, but it would be a little gross and uncanny to resurrect her via CGI outside of the little small cameos we've seen. Luke's motion capture artist looks enough like Mark Hamill already to just play the character. Sorry, didn't mean to steal Lando's spotlight with that little rant. But yeah, really excited for Lando. I would love this series to have both Donald Glover as the main version of Lando we see, and then have Billy D. Williams either bookending or narrating. You know, get both versions of that character in there. We also got a trailer for Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures. This one's set during the High Republic so that Anakin can't kill these kids. This is a Disney Junior show. It looks cute, but it's not for me. I'm not the target audience. Drops on May the 4th. We also got a little update on The Mandalorian. I know people have been a little mixed on this season, myself included. We got an update that Din Djarin is not the main character of The Mandalorian anymore, and instead the show is now focusing on Mandalorians as a culture, you know, all Mandos. Which I think is interesting because, you know, the relationship between Din and this guy is kind of the heart of the show, so I'm curious what happens when you remove him. Not remove him, but take a step back. Also, by doing this a week late, now I've seen the episode that attendees were shown at Celebration, and wow, that was a good one. Cool. Lastly, this is again not anything official. During a Kathleen Kennedy interview, she stated that Ewan McGregor wants to come back for season 2 of Obi-Wan, which her response was, Lucasfilm is not opposed to it, but look at all the stuff that we've got slated right now. So we'll see if we ever get to that. I'm 50-50. If Obi-Wan comes back, I won't be mad. If we never get a season 2, I won't be mad either. They kind of already stretched and smashed, and the pacing in that show is weird. It's not as bad as everybody makes it out to be, but it's still not great. And so my thing with season 2 would just be, what is the story? Because you also, Obi-Wan is supposed to be in hiding, in exile. I know we've still got many years of that, but like, you can't have him fight Vader again. That was their climactic goodbye. So what do? And you can't have him, you know, fight Darth Maul or anything, because that's happened elsewhere. So my question for Obi-Wan season 2 would just be, what do? Not opposed to it, but you'd have to show me what you got, and it'd have to be written well. Lastly, looking at video games. Wow, would you look at that? There's only one Star Wars video game that we have an update for, because the other ones are so early in production. Jedi Survivor at this point comes out in 2 weeks, and so we got a final trailer. It seems like more of the same gameplay-wise, so I'm not thrilled about that, but the story looks really interesting. We have this High Republic Jedi who seems pissed that the Jedi Order has fallen, so I'm curious to see how that plays out. And we got to see that we're going to visit Coruscant for at least one mission, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, overall, I can't wait to play that one. Shocker, who would have thought the Star Wars nerd's going to play the Star Wars game? And so that, folks, were my thoughts on Star Wars Celebration. We got all kinds of great news. We were fed well this weekend. It's a great time to be a Star Wars fan. There is something for everybody. You might not like all of it. I don't like all of it. But that's because not all of it's meant for me. I'm not the only Star Wars fan. There are millions of Star Wars fans, and so there is something for everybody right now. I'm excited to see this. Let me know what you thought of all of the things that came out of Star Wars Celebration. What are your thoughts on future Star Wars projects? Do you like Star Wars at all, even? So yeah, let me know what you think of Star Wars in general, the state of Star Wars, these future projects, the current projects like Bad Batch, Andor, Mando, down in the comments below. If you liked what you saw here and want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know when that next one's coming. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.